Good afternoon, all of you. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to everyone. Right. Hi, Varun. Good noon. Yes, I'm doing well. I hope the same for you. All right. So, yes, the most awaited topics are para jumbles and para summary. So, I thought to have a session on these two. Right. So, today it's odd sentence out para jumbles. In the next month as well, we have a lot of para summary, para jumble sessions planned for you. Right. Hi, Alka. Good afternoon. Hello, Vidhi. Good noon. Good noon. Right. So odd sentence para jumbles, they have a special place in the hearts of students because they are asked in CAT, right? So two questions from odd sentence or para jumbles, they have been asked for the last 5-6 years, right? So today we'll see what genres are they asked from, what are the sources of these para jumble questions. We'll also talk about how to approach these questions, and of course we are going to look at some previous year questions. So that's on the agenda for today. A very good noon, Maitri, Varun, Pragya. Good noon, good noon. Right. So, from where do these parajumbles come? कहाँ से आते हैं ये? Right. So, let's have a look at that. See, they are basic. I would say that they're spread across genres, right? So it's not one particular genre from where we've seen some predominant parajumble questions, right? So biology, linguistics, science and technology, these are some of the sources that we've seen time and again. So that's why I thought to write that, and they are relevant for your parajumbles also, your odd sentence or parajumbles also, and para summary as well, right? So I understand that this is not a lot, 35 out of 108 questions, but it's still something to give you a start, as in what kind of articles should I read that I become better at parajumbles? What kind of, let's say, books should I read that I become at para summary? So these genres can be your focus. Right. It's not that they are not asked from other genres. We'll look at some other genres also today. Okay. So I've brought questions from various genres, which are, apart from these three as well. Right. Yes. Last lap to cat. I'll be taking sessions in that. And yes, good noon. Those who've just joined us. Hi, Amrit. Hello, Apurva. Right. So, what are the sources of these questions? They are usually made from books. In the recent years, this trend has been, on the rise. That your RC passages, some of them are from non-fiction books, and for your para jumbles, para summary also, your examiner is picking up book excerpts. Right. Some of them have come from Eon and The Economist as well. So yes, those are two good sources to read from. Eon is free. Economist provides you some articles for free, right? So these can be the sources of your parajumbles, parasummary, or sentence out. It at least gives you a glimpse into what kind of genres can come. So if I talk about the Economist, political issues, world issues, of course, business and economic issues. Eon, apart from science and tech, Eon also talks about science and tech. It also talks about economics and labor, work also, right? Then apart from this, it also talks about philosophy. It talks about the issues such as gender. So all of these can form the genres of your parajumbles, parasummary questions. So you, in a nutshell, need to be an eclectic reader, and you can choose to particularly focus on some of these genres, right? Okay, let's talk about what is it that you have to keep in mind. See, these questions are pretty doable if you ask me. First thing is that there is no negative marking here. So that's a big plus. Second is you do not have to make an entire sequence, right? You just have to find out the odd sentence, the one sentence that does not belong to the paragraph. So these are relatively less time consuming. As a result, when I compare them to your full parajumbles, to your type in the answer parajumbles, they are less time consuming. Okay, so that's why I suggest that you definitely give these questions a shot in the exam. Please do not leave the box where you type in the answer blank. At least don't do that. Even if you're unable to figure out the odd sentence out, please write something there. Okay, write a number there out of from 1 to 5. Okay, all right. Will eliminating options help in RC's odd one out summary and VRC crasher? Uh, will take Acha, okay. All right, Acha, you're talking about the topic that I'll talk about. Yes, yes, yes. I will talk about this. I'll talk about eliminating options. Correct, Pragya. Okay. Good noon, good afternoon, Abhinav. So, what is it that you have to keep in mind? Of course, you have to understand the parajumble. You have to understand the sentences that are given to you. Without that, it's a little tricky to find out which one does not belong if you don't understand the ones that belong, right? So you have to understand the theme of the sentences. And a lot of times, if you pay attention, some words will be repeated. It's not like the exact word will be repeated, but let's say its synonym is being repeated. Yes. Or something, I say something and then I elaborate on it a little. So look for such elaborations, such words that are being repeated, or words whose synonyms are given, or some other point about them is being made after, let's say, giving a general definition. So that will help you identify, okay, this seems to be the focus. We are talking about it time and again. This seems to be the focus of this parajumble. So there is no substitute to understanding the theme. I can't suggest to you some hacks, let's say that, okay, read just the initial few words and you will be through. It does not work like that in CAT. You have to understand the sentences. Very, very important. That's why I made a separate pointer out of it. Scope. See, a lot of times students understand the theme, what exactly is being talked about. Okay, so let's say I write a paragraph and I talk about, let's say, pursuing higher education, right? I hope I'm not writing behind my head, right? So I write an article, I write a paragraph about pursuing higher education in India, right? Now you've identified this theme that, okay, the author is talking about pursuing higher education in India. Now, in this also, the author could be talking about something specific. Let's say the author could be addressing some specific area of higher education. So let's say higher education in the field of humanities, that how in India this is still underdeveloped and this needs to develop more. So while you have identified the theme, the range of discussion is currently confined to humanities. The scope is currently confined to humanities. In this also, the author may just be stating some facts. Yes, just describing, okay, these all these colleges, these number of colleges offer humanities courses. What is the quality of education there as per statistics? So the author could be just offering facts, or the author could be giving opinions. Yes. So, in case the paragraph just offers facts, right? The paragraph is just offering facts, then the scope of discussion is pretty, it's in the style of reporting something. That is your scope of discussion. You're just reporting the facts. So you're not giving opinions. So if you isolate that, then you will straight away eliminate any sentence that gives an opinion, right? If the other four are just stating facts. So my point is that within a particular broad subject, within a particular broad topic, we could still be talking about certain specific things, and that is the range of discussion. Okay, so understanding that scope is essential. That this is the scope. Right now, I'm just giving a background. I'm just stating facts. So suddenly, I'll not start giving an opinion. This is out of scope. That's how you eliminate, right? Hope this makes sense. Now, the tone of the paragraph, that also helps. So for instance, if the author is if 4 out of 5 of your sentences are pretty formal, right, and they offer an opinion, but you can understand that okay, this opinion is a product of analysis, they are pretty analytical in nature. However, there is one that appears to be judgmental. Yes, it appears to be pretty judgmental, pretty colored. Then you understand, okay, this one must be the odd one out because इतना judgmental तो author बाकी sentences में हुआ ही नहीं, right? So keep a lookout for the tone, and if not these precise tone words, then at least positive, negative, neutral. Okay, if the author has been neutral in 4 sentences, suddenly she'll not become extremely negative, right? So keep a lookout for the tone. Last but not the least, make mandatory pairs to eliminate. Okay, so elimination is the key. Yes, I also take a session on that. Now, when you make mandatory pairs, so let's say out of five sentences, you identified, okay, 1, 2 is a pair, then 2, 4 is a pair. You identified two mandatory pairs. So your job becomes much, much easy now, right? Much easier now because you just have to find out which is the odd one out of 3 and 5. So making mandatory pairs helps you with elimination, right? So this is how we proceed in these questions, and I'm sure you know a lot of these things already, and you are also applying these already. So let's apply these to the questions today and see that when, if and when we go wrong, where do we go wrong? Okay, all right then. There's a query. Opening sentences remain fixed in the options while doing parajumbles. Yes, yes, yes. So see, Varun, in your non-CAT exams, you do have options. So I say make use of those options. Having said that, don't completely solve through the options. But if let's say three of my options give P as the opener and two of them give Q as the opener, then I know either P or Q is the opening sentence. So I'll make use of that information, right? So yes, please make use of it whenever you are given options. In CAT, you do not have options. Any trick to form associations between sentences in parajumbles? Because I commonly get stuck between two sentences only at the end. Okay, so in fact, see, when you have identified two mandatory pairs here, let's say 1, 2, and 2, 4, they are mandatory pairs. Then observe closely again, observe closely the scope here. What exactly is it that they are discussing, right? So for instance, they could be talking about a policy, but they could be specifically focused on the drawbacks of that policy. And there also the tone could be very formal. It's not like they're criticizing it without any rhyme or reason. So then it comes down to focusing on these minuter things. Because see, if you've eliminated three correct sentences, right, three sentences that belong, that means you understood the theme. Theme to samajh aa raha hai aapko, that means. It then comes down to the scope and tone. So let's apply this in a question, and you automatically will understand that when it comes to two close options, no, mostly it's a matter of scope. Mostly the student is stuck because दोनों ही related होते हैं. Both the sentences will be related, right? However, one is related to the immediate discussion, while other will probably come later in the article but not in this paragraph. Mostly it comes down to this. So ask yourself this question: does it relate to the immediate discussion that is happening, या फिर ये related तो है but थोड़ा सा far fetched है, थोड़ा let's say next paragraph में आएगा, right? Ask yourself that. Okay, so let's have a look at some previous year questions. Your instructions are usually these, that five sentences related to a topic are given below. Four of them can be put together to form a meaningful and coherent short paragraph. Identify the odd one out, right? So five sentences, no negative marking. Let's have a look at our first question. So these are the five sentences given to you. Of course, all of these are previous year questions, right? And this is the, I mean, I want you to take your time in this, understand it, what it is talking about, and then give me an answer, right? So take your time, no hurries for this one. The first question, understand, make connections, eliminate, then give me an answer. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. 1, 3, 4, 5. Quite a few students saying 3. All right. Poll, yes, the YouTube does not provide that option. At least from my end, it's not available. So, see this. Quite a few of you said 3, but I would like to know your rationale behind saying 3. Yes. Why do you think 3 is the odd sentence out? So if you see, those who have marked 1 or 2, I think 1 and 2 could be eliminated. They are not the answers because 1 and 2 make a mandatory pair, if you notice. As India looks to increase the number of cities, our urban planning must factor in potential natural disasters and work out contingencies in advance. So, see, we are planning to increase the number of cities. So, we must work out these potential natural disasters and work out contingencies in advance. How will we do that? Authorities must revise data and upgrade infrastructure and mitigation plans, even if their local area hasn't been visited by a natural calamity yet. So authorities must revise data, upgrade infrastructure and mitigation plans, right? So these are some of the ways in which we can factor in these potential natural disasters and work out contingencies in advance, right? So 1 and 2 make sense together if you see revising data, upgrading infrastructure, upgrading our mitigation plans, right? So we can do this for our local areas, and yes, in fact, it could be in the direction of 2-1. 2-1 could be a pair that you can do this for the existing areas, and even here also, when you increase the number of cities, you can work out potential natural disasters also. So what I realized was that in 1 and 2, we are talking about in a way the same thing, that we must factor in these potential natural disasters through a number of measures, right? So 1, 2 is not the answer for sure. Now let's look at 3, 4, and 5. I think 4, there is no denying the fact that our baseline normal weather is changing. 4 should also have been eliminated. It should have come down to 3 and 5. Why? Because this sort of provides an introduction to the entire paragraph. There is no denying that our baseline normal weather is changing. And see, those of you who read a lot, look at the language of 4 and 5. There is no denying the fact that our baseline normal weather is changing. It is no longer a question. Okay, so you can't deny this. It is no longer a question of whether we'll be hit by nature's fury, but rather when. So, why can we not deny the fact? Because it's no longer a question of whether, it's now a question of when. So, 4 and 5, in terms of language, they do form a pair. And a very, very logical reason that 3 is the odd sentence out is that, see, if you look at 1 and 2, they are talking about urban planning factoring in natural disasters, right? Factoring in natural disasters. So what kind of natural disasters do urban plannings, let's say urban plans, what kind of natural disaster do they factor in a city? Earthquakes, right? If let's say there is a town on the mountains, on the hills, then probably landslides. Forest fires, will they factor in for that? Forest fires? Not really. For cities, again, droughts? Not really. So the kind of changes that are being talked about here, the kind of disasters, droughts, forest fires, they have more than doubled since 1980. They are not even related to urban planning. They are not related to urban planning as such, right? Of course, you can always create an indirect relationship, but not related immediately. Not related immediately. One thing. Secondly, if you look at the tone of this paragraph, the author seems to be giving his or her opinion throughout, right? Opinion sentence, opinion sentence. What should the authorities do? Opinion sentences. Whereas, what is this? A factual sentence. So this question was not an easy question, right? I made it the first question because I wanted to show you that sometimes, although some of you identified 3 very easily, but sometimes it can be challenging to identify the odd one out, even when, let's say, we have something that's not abstract, that's not philosophical. Because here students do get confused in 3, 4, 5. That happens a lot. Okay, so what you had to realize was that this was factual while the others offered an opinion. Then these disasters that are being talked about here, drought, forest fires, they're not very related to urban planning as such. And moreover, 4 and 5 form of strong language based pair. So that is why 3 is the odd sentence out here. I hope this makes sense. Yes, 4, 5 is a pair. Good, Pragya, that you identified that. 3 is a statistic. Good, Siddharth. All right. Perfect then. I hope all of you understood why 3 is the odd sentence out. Now let's talk about this question. Again, see, so the genre of the previous one, it talked about natural disasters. So we could call it something related to social. I mean, it's related to social and environment. The genre will be socio-environmental, right? Then here we are going to talk about organizations. I see discussion on organization. So this is business and economics. So it's not like other genres can't be asked except biology, linguistics, and science and tech. Let's have a look at question two. Yes. Which one do you feel is the odd one out? Okay. All right. Others, let's see. One. Okay. Nine. All right. So I've got quite a few ones here. So this was a relatively easy question. Yes, relatively easy question. So this is just to show you that the level of difficulty of these questions varies, right? So it's not that if there are two questions, both will be difficult. One could be easy also. So this is an easy question. You're absolutely right. One is the odd sentence out because the topic of discussion here is the identity of an organization. Okay, some organizations have complex identities, others have narrow identities. So the issue at hand is identity of an organization. One argument is that actors that do not fit within a single well-defined category may suffer an illegitimacy discount. Again, probably this has been taken from the same article, but from a different paragraph. So basically, the author in first is trying to say that sometimes an organization may not fit into one single category, and therefore they might suffer from an illegitimacy discount. Then people might not consider them to be very authentic, legitimate. So will come, but later in the article, not a part of the immediate discussion. Very good. Those who marked one, absolutely out of context. So, good. This was an easy question. Let's have a look at a question from linguistics, from the genre linguistics. Again, not difficult. Let's see what you say. Make pairs and you'll get this. So Varun, that comes through practice. See, if you're able to make pairs, let's say when there's no time constraint, that means you get it, you understand the concept. It's then just a matter of practice. Put yourself under that time constraint again and again, and you'll find that you become more and more comfortable with the constraint as you practice more. No substitute to that. Two, okay. All right. You made pairs, all of you. Okay, others. Absolutely correct. See, so I told you that even this one is not difficult if you make pairs and eliminate. So, if you look at 4 and 1, this is a very strong pair. This guy, Pedro Ponce de Leon, created a formal sign language for the hearing impaired. His idea to use sign language, so absolutely 4-1 is a pair. These cannot be the answers. Then this is an introductory sentence. So, those paragraphs that provide us a very clear introductory sentence, they are a boon. Okay, they are God sent, because then it becomes a little easier for us, even in a sequence parajumble, even in an odd sentence parajumble. So here we had a very clear opener that this is what we are talking about. People with hearing impairments encountering marginalization. So 5 is the opening sentence. And now which one is more strongly related to it? 3 or 2? So we are now giving, we want to basically give an example of this marginalization, that how this marginalization was practiced. People who were born deaf were denied the right to sign a will. So now this is an application of this marginalization in action. Two is simply reiterating it, that okay, even Aristotle said this. Even Aristotle said this. So this is a reiteration of sorts, whereas this shows this marginalization in action. That see, this was the implication of this marginalization. People could not even sign a will, right? Just because they were born deaf. So two is the odd sentence out. Absolutely correct. It does not form a pair with any of the other sentences. Okay, and you are absolutely right, Prajwal. The sequence is 5-3-4-1. Okay, good that you said two. All right. Coming to the next question then. This is related to environment, of course. Let's see what you say. Question 4. We are picking up speed, I can see. Good. Fastest fingers first. Okay. 2, 5. What else? 4. All right. 5. Okay. Not difficult. I want a lot of responses here. Come on. Okay. Prajwal has given a sequence itself. All right. So 2 is what quite a few of you say. Yes. Followed by some 4s and some 5s. 2 is the answer here. Good. Those who identified this. See again, now here there were theme-based clues. There were a number of theme-based clues here. Pairs that you could make easily. So first says ocean plastic is problematic for a number of reasons, but primarily because marine animals eat it. So let's see if any other sentence talks about marine animals eating it. Aside from clogging up the digestive tracts of marine life, yes, digestive tracts associated with eating. Even 5 talks about eating plastic. It has a number of negative consequences such as retention of plastic. Okay, so if you see these three are related to eating of plastic by marine animals, so 135 cannot be the answers. It's either 2 or 4. Now between 2 and 4, what do you feel? Second says the largest numerical proportion of ocean plastic falls in small size fractions. Okay. And 4, on the other hand, gives us an introductory sentence. Plastic in the oceans is arguably one of the most important and pervasive environmental problems today. Ocean plastic is problematic for a number of reasons, but primarily because marine animals eat it. Okay. So 4, 1, 5, and then 3. Right? So this is the sequence here and 2 is the odd one out. Yes, 2 is just talking about how some of it falls in small size fractions, whereas the other plastic is actually of bigger size. That is not the topic of discussion here. The topic of discussion is how it is problematic and particularly associating it with the problem of uh, eating by marine animals. Right? So good. 4153 was the sequence here, although we were not supposed to make a sequence, we were just supposed to identify the odd one out. 2 is the answer. So as you can see, in these 4 questions only, you must have realized that we get all sorts of questions, all difficulty levels of questions. So please don't go with the impression कि मुझसे odd sentence out नहीं होता या मुझसे type in the answer sequence para jumbles नहीं होते. This is a very common prejudice that students have in their mind. मुझसे sequence para jumbles तो होते ही नहीं. What if it comes out to be extremely easy, right? So don't go with such prejudices. Question 5. Yes, a relatively longer one. Tell me. Two. Sankirtana says 2. Others say 3. All right. So quite a few 3s I've got. What about others? Okay. Pragya says 3. Nitikesh also says 3. So basically, do we agree that the answer is 3? Others? So again, you find repetitions in the sentences that give you an idea as to what the topic is. The topic is that we are talking about how talking among slaves was an act of freedom, was something that actually helped them to subvert the rules of their bondage, as the very first sentence tells us. Right? So, freedom of speech will be a part of the discussion. Freedom of speech and power to silence may have been preeminent markers of white liberty in colonies, but at the same time, slavery depended on dialogue. Slaves could never be completely muted. So then slave owners were not happy about it, right? But they could never control it. Why? Because they everyone knew that oaths, whispers, secret conversations bred conspiracy and revolt. So 4, 5, 1, 2 all talk about this element of freedom, right? Subvert the rules of their bondage, irrepressible, potentially transgressive. Transgression is when you violate a rule, right? Whereas 3 talks about their connection to the all-powerful spirit world. Do you see how it digresses? while it's not unrelated to the theme of talking, oaths, orations, invocations. However, it's talking about it in the context of their connection with the spirit world. So this is where it digresses. This is where it goes out of scope. And that's why this is the odd sentence out. Correct. Those who said three. Right? So all of these are your previous year questions. This is the actual difficulty level, right? And that's why you have to give these questions a shot. Okay? Yes. Let's see question 6. Business and economics. Yes, economics. Let's see what you say. Okay. Others. All right. 5, 3. That's what I've got. What do the others say? 2. All right. Diverse responses. Again, make connections. There is one common thread that runs through 4 sentences but is absent in the 5th sentence. Two, all right. One more two. 5. Okay. So 2 sentences talk about monopolizing and protecting data, while 2 sentences talk about information being abundant. Isn't it? See this. So we talk about intellectual property rights. So here a knowledge of what intellectual property rights are is essential, right? Your patents, your copyrights, these are intellectual property rights. You basically don't want anyone else to use whatever you've created, be it a product, be it a service, be it a piece of art, right? So in 1962, Kenneth Arrow, the guru of mainstream economics, said that in a free market economy, the purpose of inventing things is to create intellectual property rights, right? You can observe the truth of this in every e-business model ever constructed. Monopolize and protect data. So this is true what Kenneth Arrow said, because we want to monopolize data, we want to protect data in every e-business model. We can see that. Yet, now see here the grammar also helps us here. The truth of this, the truth of what? What Kenneth Arrow said. Yet, now I contradict this. And 2 of the sentences I told you are contradicting it. So 5 and 4 are those sentences. Yet information is abundant. See, even though there is this attempt to monopolize and protect data, we live in an era of information explosion. Yes, information is abundant. Information goods are freely replicable. Once a thing is made, it can be copied and pasted infinitely. There is, so what has happened is, what is the end result of this? Alongside the world of monopolized information and surveillance, there exists a different dynamic growing up. Information as a social good, incapable of being owned or exploited or priced. So while there are attempts to monopolize data, protect data, alongside this, this is also happening that information is now abundant, incapable of being owned or exploited or priced. So our only odd sentence out is 2 because it talks about, it does not really specify what is this new kind of capitalism that is being created, right? The other sentences don't talk about this new kind of capitalism. They talk about inventing things, but not this new kind of capitalism. So because it does not find any mention in the other sentences, that's why this is the odd one out. Okay, so it does not have that common thread running through the other sentences. It, in fact, I can say that it thematically does not match the others. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Any query, please ask. All right, then. I'm assuming that things are clear and that you've spotted that this was the common thread. So it was a theme based question in the sense that just identifying the theme would have helped you eliminate. All right. So question 7. Now in question 7, okay, this is slightly abstract. Okay. I would not call it abstract. It's basically associated with gender politics. Okay. So let's have a look at this. I hope you understand the meanings of words such as feminine, masculine, right? And conformity is basically when all of us abide to the same rules. That means we are conforming to them. Okay. Denigration is to belittle someone. Okay. The belittling of someone. Apart from that, I don't think there are any difficult words. Yes. So let's start with this. Tell me the answer. The previous one was easy to moderate. Easy to moderate. Sometimes I've seen students failing to identify two as the answer, right? Because they somehow feel that this is a new development, this inventing of things. So they associate new capitalism with a new development. And that's how they think two is not the odd sentence out. So that's why I'm saying easy to moderate. Okay. Question 7. Okay. So I've already got 4 3s. I want more responses. Yes, you have to process it. I understand. Okay, all right. Others, what do you say? I've got just 5 6 responses so far. What about others? 3, okay. So quite a few of you say 3, and you're correct also. Now, why, I mean, what was your logic behind marking 3 as the odd sentence? Yes. How did you make your pairs? This is a difficult question. Let me state this at the outset because it requires your understanding of processing, and it's not something that's very topical that you will come on a day-to-day basis, come across on a day-to-day basis, right? So tell me, yeah. 4 is the opening sentence. Do we agree on this? Or did you think some other sentence was the opening sentence? Okay, you said 1 2 is a pair. All right. Or 2 1. Does not matter, but yes, they are related. Right. So 2 1 is actually a pair here, right? 4 5 is a pair here. 3 is the odd sentence out. Now, um, the denigration of working class women and women of color often centers on their perceived failure to embody feminine beauty. So why are we denigrating working class women often centers. So this is, if you see, it's a present tense ka sentence. That this happens often because of their perceived failure to embody feminine beauty, right? So that's because perhaps woman is considered separate from, let's say, what it means to be a feminine woman, so to say. So woman was a biological category, but femininity was a process by which women became specific kinds of women, right? So, I mean, you get it, right? 4, 5. Why is it a pair? Because I am talking about that how some women are denigrated because they fail to embody this idea of feminine beauty. So that means woman and feminine, they are different terms, they are separate things. So then the author clarifies that also, that woman is a biological category, but femininity is a process by which women became specific kinds of women. Appearance became a signifier of conduct, right? So their appearance became a signifier of their conduct. To look was to be, and conformity to the feminine ideal was measured by how well women could use the tools of the fashion and beauty industries, right? And what is the logic behind it? Why are we doing all this? The logic of displaying one's inner qualities through outward appearance was based on a distinction between being a woman and being feminine, right? So if you see, even if let's say you do not identify the sequence here, because I think this has been taken by skipping some sentences in a paragraph. Okay, although it's based on one single paragraph, some sentences have been skipped in between. So then also you realize that okay, this talks about a distinction between being a woman and being feminine. This talks about that distinction. Even this shows that how if someone is a woman but not feminine, then what are the consequences, and how can a person embody this feminine idea? How can a woman embody this feminine idea by actually using the tools that the makeup and the fashion and beauty industries have provided them? So, this says the makeover centric media sets out subtly and not so subtly good and bad ways to be a woman, layering these over inequalities of race and class. We are not talking about the multiple ways to be a woman. We are talking about the distinction between being a woman and being basically a feminine woman, right? So the media's role here is not what is important. We are laying out what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a feminine woman, a woman. How can you display those qualities? What is the logic behind displaying those qualities? That is why please the or sentence out. Okay, so it did require some processing, some churning of ideas in your head to finally decide that please the or sentence out. Right? I hope this makes sense. Why please the or sentence out? Even though working class women, women of color have been talked about in 4 and 3 does mention race and class, it is still not related to the scope of discussion. We are not talking about the role of media here, makeover centric media. Yes, 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 absolutely, Vidhi. So 2 and 1 are related in that sense. So your questions can be of all difficulty levels. They can be from all genres, okay? But yes, you can pay attention to some specific genres that I told you in the beginning. Okay. The idea is that you have to practice these questions. Without practicing such questions, it becomes difficult to attempt them in just approximately one or a little over 1 minute that you get. Right? So do practice from your previous year papers, from the material that you have, from the mock test, topic test, sectional tests, and I'm sure you will ace this question. Okay? Hope this session helped you. We are also coming up with an NMAT analysis on 3rd November. So do join us. Okay? So we'll talk about expected cutoff, difficulty level, exam pattern, good attempts, etc. Okay? All right, this is our CAT 2023 program. You can enroll right now and you get a lot of material, a lot of guidance, a lot of guidance even at the stage 2, right? Okay, and yes, this is our mock series. So this offers you 70 plus mocks. I think a lot of non-CAT mocks particularly here. So you can consider buying this. And yes, this is the last lab to CAT 2022, what we were talking about. Do join us at 7 p.m. every day. I'll also see you in these sessions. So keep attending and keep clarifying your points. Okay, welcome, welcome all of you. And yes, we can stay connected on social media and via. Okay. Bye bye. Welcome. Welcome. See you now tomorrow. Yeah. See you tomorrow at 12. Bye bye.